Hello, this is Mary Prasad. Visit me at artbymdp.blogspot.com. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use memento markers to create a watercolor effect. You will need the following supplies shown on the screen. Start by cutting down a sheet of watercolor paper and then tape it down to your work surface with some painter's tape. This helps prevent the paper from warping too badly. Rub your fingers around the edges just to make sure there's a good seal. Instead of water, I'm going to use ink potion number 9. This helps prevent pilling and encourages the paper to dry flatter. Apply it liberally over the surface, then use a paintbrush to distribute it evenly. I'm going to be using memento markers for all the coloring. To start with the background, I'm going to apply some to the craft mat and paint it on with a paintbrush. Whenever I need more moisture, I'm going to add some more ink potion number 9. For this background, I want the center to be lighter and the sides and bottom to be darker. For the foreground, I'm going to be stamping a number of different flowers with these solid image stamps. I'm going to be coloring on them with the memento markers and then using a certain amount of ink potion number 9 depending on whether I want the flowers to look like they're closer to the subject or further back. When they're closer, they're going to be more in focus and sharper, so less ink potion number 9. And if they're further away, then they're going to be more fuzzy, and I'm going to add a little more ink potion number 9. In general, when I'm coloring, I'm going to be going from light to dark so that the color doesn't transfer onto the markers. If it does, all you have to do is scribble off onto a separate sheet of paper. Another technique I'm using is generation stamping. The first stamped image will be more intense and look closer to the person observing. The lighter images will look further away. I'm going to speed up the stamping. You'll notice that sometimes when these stamps get near the edge of the tape that it may not stamp fully. Don't worry about this because we'll fix this later. If the tape gets a little too inky, you might want to wipe it off with a paper towel before continuing. Now I'm going to color in some of the spots that didn't stamp well or that I didn't like. I wanted maybe more color or different color. The brush I'm using is a number 3 pointed around. I wanted to add a little bit more color in the background, so you'll see me doing this now. And then I'm going to add some little blue flowers that I've seen, like these little wildflowers in the fields. I didn't have that kind of stamp, so I decided to paint my own. This is very simple, and of course it's optional. Now I'm going to add some leaves and stems to both my blue flowers and to some of the other flowers where I felt that it needed it. Here I'm filling in some blue where the stamp missed because of the tape on the edge. Here I wanted to pull the middle stamp forward, so I'm restamping so it'll be darker and more sharp. To give the whole painting some subtle sparkle, I'm going to use some shimmer spritz. speed up the drying time, I'm going to use my heat tool. Once it is completely dry, carefully peel off the tape. Check out that beautiful subtle sparkle you get from the shimmer spritz. I wanted to add some flowers to my card that would match perfectly, so I'm going to dye some DIY paintables from Petaloo. These are flower layers that you can just glue together to make whatever type of flower you like. I'm doing some simple layers in different sizes, adding some water to my ink, and then I'm just going to color my flowers. Using your fingers directly does get kind of messy, so you might want to use some tweezers. When picking the color up off the mat, be sure to wet the flowers generously before dragging them through the ink. You may also apply the color directly and then spray the flower with water to spread the color. For the pink flower, I decided to make the top layer lighter than the bottom layers. Use a heat tool to dry the layers until they're damp, and then crumple them up and finish drying them. This gives them a lot more character when you're unfolded. Carefully unfold the layers and then glue them together with your favorite adhesive. To stamp my sentiment, I'm going to use a stamp positioner. This happens to be the Misty tool, but you can use any stamp positioner or just a clear acrylic block. I'm using this stamp set by Close to My Heart from the Artistry collection. You may have noticed that I trimmed my image down to the size I wanted for my card. My preferred ink for crisp lines is VersaFine. This happens to be Onyx Black. Since it's a pigment ink, you are going to need a little bit of drying time. I usually set it with a heat tool. I'm using a light pink cardstock for my card base. For all the card sizes, please visit my blog at artbymdp.blogspot.com. I matted my image and some pattern paper on dark pink cardstock. I lined up my matted pieces on my card base and then adhered them down. I wanted to give my flowers the same sparkle as the card, so I sprayed them with the shimmer spritz as well. Finally, I glued my flowers down, plus added a few leaves that I made out of cardstock, and then I added some enamel dots to finish off the card. I just love the softness of the watercolor stamping, and that subtle shine just really adds a little something. Here's a final look at the card. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please consider giving the video a thumbs up. For more information and other projects, please visit artbymdp.blogspot.com.